In the grand palace of Shushan lived a young woman named Esther. Orphaned, yet raised with love by her cousin Mordecai, Esther possessed a quiet beauty and a gentle spirit. When the king sought a new queen, Esther was brought to the palace. Her kindness and grace shone through. The king, captivated, chose Esther. She became his queen. Esther's life changed forever. Though surrounded by opulence, she never forgot her heritage. She remained connected to Mordecai, who visited her often, whispering news from the world beyond the palace walls. Little did she know, her position would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined. Unbeknownst to Esther, a darkness was growing in the king's court. Haman, a proud and vengeful man, had been promoted to a position of great power. He demanded absolute obedience, expecting everyone to bow before him. Mordecai, a devout Jew, refused. He would bow only to God. Enraged by Mordecai's defiance, Haman plotted revenge. He convinced the king that the Jews, scattered throughout the kingdom, were a threat. A terrible decree was issued. On a preordained day, all Jews, young and old, would be killed. Fear and despair gripped the Jewish community. Their very existence was in jeopardy. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he was devastated. He tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and wept aloud. His grief reached Esther in the palace. She sent servants to inquire about his distress, but he refused to be consoled. He sent word to Esther, revealing their people's plight and the terrible fate that awaited them. Mordecai's message was clear. Esther was their only hope. She must intercede with the king. However, approaching the king without being summoned was forbidden, punishable by death. Esther was terrified, yet she knew she had to act. Her courage was tested. Her faith was her shield. Esther knew the danger, yet she couldn't stand by while her people faced annihilation. She made a plan. She asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in Shushan. Together, they would fast and pray for 3 days and nights. Esther, too, would fast, denying herself food and water. She would approach the king, risking her own life for the sake of her people. With a heart full of trepidation, Esther approached the king's throne room. She waited for him to notice her heart pounding with each passing moment. Finally, the king looked up. He saw Esther, his beloved queen, standing there. His face softened. He extended his golden scepter towards her, a gesture of mercy, a sign that she was welcome. He would hear her plea. "What is it, my queen?" the king asked. "What troubles your heart?" Esther, mustering all her courage, invited the king and Haman to a banquet.